it is my pleasure to introduce the next runner, DemonicRobots running Clock Tower 3.
Hi there everyone, my name is DemonicRobots and welcome to Clock Tower 3. This is a PS2 survival horror game made during Capcom's golden era when they were doing things like Onimusha, Haunting Ground, Resident Evil 4. This is kind of the black sheep of the family. It's not very good, it's not very much of a Clock Tower game, and it's very campy and silly, but I think it's quite enjoyable. We're going to be running normal mode today, which is essentially new game any %, and time is going to start when we select new from the main menu. So if we want to get ready on that in tech, and I'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. So Clock Tower 3 follows the story of Alyssa, a young girl who was sent off to boarding school but eventually got a letter from her mother telling her not to come back home before her 15th birthday has passed. So what does Alyssa do? She immediately returns home and completely ignores her mother's instructions and finds her missing. So her goal is to find out what happened to her mother. This game does not have any combat. It is designed in a way very similar to, I guess, Amnesia, where we are going to be getting chased by stalkers or subordinates as they're called, and they're going to be trying to murder Alyssa, which is not good. I'm also going to take this opening time to explain a couple of things here. The first thing I'm going to explain is the panic meter. The panic meter is essentially Alyssa's health bar, but it works very differently. When an enemy attacks her, her bar will fill up, and that is bad. If it fills up completely, she goes into a state of panic, which means that the player will lose control of her and she'll occasionally just stop in her tracks. And if she gets hit in this position, she's dead. So we want to try and avoid that as much as we can. Another really important mechanic that's going to be coming up here is going to be the water bottle. This is a very powerful and very special water bottle, as you can see it's the sacred bottle, and it has a couple of effects for it. But we're going to be grabbing these things here, and now I know what your guys are thinking. This is relatively normal so far, nothing too special, you know, kind of a nice Victorian house and everything like that, a secret room behind a fireplace, you know, the usual kind of stuff. But this run does get quite weird, mostly because our water bottle can let us do things like this, where it can destroy magical blue sigils that are blocking the door and blocking her from going towards her mother's room. So that's going to be a common thing. The water bottle can do two things. It can help us progress like that by opening doors, and it can also allow us to attack and temporarily stun enemies while they're chasing us. So Alyssa's going to look at a picture here of both her as a young child with her mother and her grandfather, who's also been missing as well, but for a much longer time. And then all of a sudden she is going to wake up in a completely different place. Now you're probably wondering what that place is, you know, maybe her backyard or something like that. No, she's going to be waking up in 1940s England, specifically during the World War II bombings. So we went from modern day England to 1940s World War II. Also, she's going to be running into one of the other mechanics in this game, and that is going to be ghosts. So ghosts in this game are essentially the most stereotypical, like, spooky, cheesy kind of ghosts. You know, the ones that leave ectoplasms limes behind them. But sometimes we will need to bring an item to them in order to progress. We don't need to do it for every single one. We can skip quite a few of them, but there are a lot that we need to help move on to the afterlife. So how do we do this? It's by us bringing an item of significant value to their corpse. That'll let them move on, and that'll let us progress in the game. So for this person, for example, it was their engagement ring, and they're also going to leave behind a sigil stone. There's 3 main items that we're going to be using during the speedrun: the sigil stone, the lavender water, and the invisible ring. Ideally, we're not going to use that sigil stone whatsoever. It is just a bit of a safety strat. Essentially, if she goes into panic or she gets hit by something that will kill her, the sigil stone will get eaten instead and it won't actually kill her. I'm just grabbing that for safety just in case. The main items that we'll be using later on is going to be the lavender water, which will reduce her panic, and the invisible ring, which will turn her invisible temporarily. Again, this is a survival horror game built around the same time as Haunting Ground and Onimusha and Ruler Rose, all of those really good games, and then you got this one. So we have this first part coming up right here. We have another ghost that we have to run into. This is one of the optional ones, so we're going to avoid them. They do attack you and they will fill up your stress. They're not that big of a deal in normal mode because they don't really raise up your panic much, and we don't really run into them while we're being chased, so they're not really too bad. Also, Alyssa's bottle can do this, so we're gonna just splash through the wall and it's going to hit this no problem. So we're going to be heading into Norton's Taylor. Alyssa's goal in this area has nothing to do with finding her mother, but rather it's to essentially quell a spirit who has had some bit of a heartbreak. And that is going to be connected to her powers later on that we'll learn about. So we're going to do another splash right there. I have to manage my splashes very carefully because, like, if I missed that one right there, it would be like a minute-long time loss since we'd have to leave the tailor and go all the way down to go refill it. And I'm very glad that I didn't miss it because that would have been very embarrassing. But we're going to grab a key right here and... yeah, so I have to be very careful with my waters. Sometimes the game will fill it up whenever I get like an extra spot. So I started the game out with 3 charges of it and I'll end with 5. So whenever it gives you that 4th and 5th charge, it refills it automatically. However, that's not always the case, and we run out of it before then, so there are going to be a couple times where I have to refill manually. Also, don't worry about the ketchup stains on the floor. That's nothing to worry about. What is to worry about is us coming up against the very first enemy. His name is Sledgehammer. If you can guess what his item is, what he uses to try and murder you, it's going to be very obvious. This is going to be a running theme in the game where we're going to get attacked by enemies who are named after their weapons. So we're going to grab a key right here. This first run-in with him is actually probably the easiest one because you can get past him very simply. This isn't the case always, so we're just going to run right past there. And alright, so that's going to be the first little part with him. Now you're probably wondering, you know, how is she going to get out of this? The answer to that is what she's going to do here. We're going to skip the cutscene because it's very slow. I wish I could show it off, but it would just take too much time if I showed off all the amazing cutscenes that are in this game. So what she's going to do here is she's going to grab this item and she's going to throw it at him and football tackle him. So now he's knocked unconscious and we can just move on and get out of here. So now that we have a gallery invite towards the opera hall, we can head towards there and figure out where that piano music she's been hearing is coming from. I'm also going to grab a safety item right here. This is going to be the first lavender water that we are going to grab. Ideally, during a regular speedrun, we only need to use 1 item. Typically, you're going to end up using 2. You use both of those in the same spot of the speedrun every time, and that's going to be the graveyard section later on, but we don't have to worry about that. For now, we can just continue on and not worry about it. He's going to be chasing us. We don't really have to worry about him right here. We're playing in normal mode, which is new game, and there's not multiple difficulties. However, clear mode is significantly harder. Clear mode is a new game plus category because it's a new game plus file, but it's also essentially a harder difficulty, so enemies do more damage and are much faster. So while he's not going to be chasing us there very easily, in clear mode he would have been like caught up like right to us. This is kind of the first area where we really have to manage our stamina. We don't want to have him swing at us too many times because it kind of messes up with our panic and we might get panicked early, which is a bad thing. Because I would prefer not to use my items until I really need to, or for later on in the run when there's a few more scary spots. So let's pray for good RNG that we get here. We can't have him swing at us twice. If he swings at us twice, that's not very good. He can swing at us once, so let's see how much luck we get. Alright, and it looks like we got the good pattern. If he swings horizontally, that's bad. If he swings vertically, it's good. But don't worry, he actually is not following us here. For whatever reason, he doesn't like to go backstage, so he kind of just ignores us and lets us move on. But yeah, this is the first big area with like the stalkers chasing us, and you can see some of the mechanics of it. We also don't want to use our holy waters more than we need to. We need to use them in kind of very specific ways, and typically we don't have room for like, oh, if you missed one, it's okay, you can just use another. Our timing on it is very tight. So now that we know the answer to a code, we can go and do that. Hey, Sledgy. This game doesn't let you enter in codes until you already know the answer, which is kind of annoying, but nothing that we can do about it. So the code's always the same, but we can't go here and unlock it until after we pick up that note from the corpse over there. But there we go. This is going to allow us to get the master key. And then we're going to do a little bit of manipulation. He's going to go around where we were going. We're going to go the other way. It's a little bit slower. Oh, no. I've never seen this pattern before. But that's okay. Probably. We'll find out here in a second. Yep, we're okay. As long as he doesn't swing at me again. So normally he goes around the other way, but his pattern is very random, and that's a very common thing in this game, is that you can lose like a lot of time in areas that you don't mean to, and you don't really have like much control over it. All right, let's see. I don't think I'm going to take panic enough to go into panic state, but we might. Let's find out. All right, we're good. So if I took too much panic, as you can see, the meter's already basically filled. So even though they're not actually hitting me, enemies will still cause their panic meter to rise if they swing near her. So we're going to do a little bit of a cool camera manipulation. We're going to open this up, and he's actually not going to attack us in this angle. He just kind of lets us stay there. And then we run over here, we wait for the sigil to go through, and then we're good. That's going to be another way to squeeze through past Sledgehammer, and now we can continue on with our mission to find some matches, because we need to cross a wooden beam, and it's too dark for her to do so otherwise. So we need matches to light up a lantern, and that lets her go through it. Again, this is, you know, very much like, you know, classic horror game logic, but it works. If you guys are a fan of the Japanese film Battle Royale, by the way, I would recommend looking up the cutscenes for this game, because the director of that Battle Royale film is actually the same director who did the cutscenes for this game, and they're all really good. I wish I could show them all, but it would be a much longer run. So right there, we're going to wait for him to move forward, otherwise he'll block us when we try to crawl through this. So we're going to go through here. And he's just kind of, you know, run into the barrier for a little while. That's okay. We're going to leave him behind. Don't really need to worry about that. And then we're going to continue on. So we should be safe for a little while. We have like two more areas that we need to really squeeze past him before we're relatively safe until the boss fight, because there is boss fights in this game. I did say that there was no combat. That's kind of a lie. What I mean is, like, there's no combat in these sections, but there is combat in the boss sections, where we will confront the enemy with a certain ability that I feel like people are going to enjoy. And I'm also going to show up the cutscene for how we acquire the weapon, since I feel like my estimate takes account for that. Also, that was some weird movement, but we're okay. So camera angles are kind of weird. They change randomly, but like right now I'm holding forward. However, this has the Silent Hill controls. Alright, we got good RNG. So if he stops right there, even for half a second, we don't need to throw holy water. Sometimes he'll keep on moving and then he'll swing at us, and that's bad. But, like, for example, you can kind of hold an angle past camera changes and it'll stay the same. But if you move the stick even slightly, it, like, updates the position, and it can be really weird and throw you off. So that was the light that we needed to light. Funny enough. And then here we are. This plank has killed more runs than anything else. So crossing this plank, it is random if you get those stumbles right there. It costs every time, and there's RNG to it, and it's just random every single time. There's nothing you can do. Typically 4 stumbles is average RNG, 3 is good, 2 is godly, and 1 stumble has been seen 1 time. We've already gone 3. The max that you can get is 7. The time for world record is so tight that if I get more than 4, I will reset the run, because it's just not worth taking the 4 like I would be starting pretty much like 8 seconds behind every single like time I got out of Sledgehammer. But we're at 4 right now. Let's see if this would be a dead run theoretically. Are we gonna get 4? Ah, we got 5. It can troll you up to the very last like step that you're on this, and it can do it anytime. I've had it do it to where I've gone to stumble and it pushes her into the cutscene trigger. But here we go. We just need to squeeze through one more spot with Sledgehammer. All right. And with that, we are home free to the boss fight. So that is like the big parts that are really nervous about. He's actually one of the harder stalkers to avoid, purely for the fact that you don't have a whole lot of water charges that you can use against him. As you can see, we're ending with 1 spare, but that's because we got good RNG. If we got bad RNG, we would have had to thrown it at him, and then we would be ending with 0. So you don't have any to spare, and along with that, it's just like he can have some very unpredictable patterns. I mean, you saw that he was following me over that other way, which has like happened very few times in my quite a few hundred hours of speedrunning this game. But you know, it's just, you know, a marathon thing. Never happened before, never seen it before. You guys know the whole song and dance. But here we go. We are going to be heading back to the concert hall because there was something there that we need to go grab and then return back to this area. So it's a very long run, but we have a bit of time here for donations, if anything. We're just going to be holding forward. He's never going to catch us. So if there's any, feel free.
So no new donations right now. However, I will use this time to talk about our sponsor a little bit, who's helping us put this all together. So Worldwide Veterinary Services aims to offer an easy-to-use, on-demand solution that anyone can use to host live-streamed events. With no need to maintain expensive infrastructure and build custom software, hosting a live online event has never been easier, whether for web conferences, content creator streams, or speedrunning marathons. So thank you again, Worldwide Veterinary Services, for helping us put this together and all your hard work.
Wonderful. All right, so we're going to be heading into here. We're going to be grabbing something that is going to kind of stick out from what we've seen so far within the setting. You're going to see something back there that looks green. That's going to be a repellent arrow. We will be using this way down the line, but you're going to see me pick up a lot of these. We're also going to come over here and open this box, even though her angle was a little bit off. Another thing you guys are going to learn later on in this run is that Alyssa has what we call extendo arms. She has very good reach when she's trying to grab things. We're also going to get a little bit more backstory and stuff like that as to who Sledgehammer is and who May is, who we've been skipping in the cutscenes, but you saw right there in the piano. I don't really know a whole lot about the story. I've played through this game a lot of times. I've seen all the cutscenes multiple times. It's kind of just a jumbled mess, is the nicest way to put it. But we're going to be heading back to the concert hall, and we're going to be having our first boss fight. There's quite a few boss fights in this game, and it has a very interesting mechanic that you don't really see too often in many games, so that's kind of cool. But its uniqueness is probably its only positive factor. Let's just say if you're a Sailor Moon fan, you're probably going to like this next section. But I'll show the cutscene because it's absolutely hilarious. Here we go. And we're going to hit the trigger right about now. I'm going to skip this cutscene because that's just some wackiness. But let me show you guys the real good part. First got T-pose to assert dominance. And hey, look, her water bottle's floating. That's kind of weird. Oh. Kind of reminds me of like one of those Nerf bow and arrows. But yeah, so for boss fights, her water bottle turns into a bow and arrow. And we're going to be using magical rays of light to defeat this enemy. So we're going to be doing something called binding. We're going to be binding him to a specific spot, and we bind him enough, we do a super attack. We need a certain amount of charges on each of our bow shots in order to do this. So we're going to bait out an attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's okay that we got hit. We still landed the binding. And now we're going to do this multiple times. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, now that we did that and we bound him, this is interesting. And that is Sledgehammer defeated. So that is what I call a Spirit Bomb. It's a very useful attack. We're going to be using it on pretty much every single boss that we're able to do so. But essentially, if you bind a character in a specific way, like Sledgehammer we did there, we hit him with 6 shots, that brings that out. Additionally, if you bind them 3 times, but you do it in a specific way to where there are 2 bindings on both sides and then 1 in the center, you only need 3. That is going to be very, very important for the last boss. Also, we needed to charge up our shot 5 times for Sledgehammer. Every other time is going to be 6 charges. So, except for the last boss. So keep that in mind if you want to keep track and play along. The way you know how many charges it has is by the animation on the arrow itself. But now that we have defeated him, we have returned back home. We've also met Dennis, who you guys are going to see for a grand total of 20 seconds for the entirety of the speedrun, because with the exception of one small area, every other part with him is going to be a cutscene, which we're going to be skipping. So this area is kind of a lore dump. Pretty much we're going to be learning about the Rooters, who were a group of women with magical powers and who fought entities and subordinates. And entities were bad guys trying to gain immortality, and subordinates were immortal serial killers who were working for the entity. So we learned a little bit about that history, and we also learned that our grandfather was kind of searching them out. But now that we have a couple of winding keys, we are going to return back to our mother's room. If you remember, that's where we teleported from to go to 1940s World War II England to go fight Sledgehammer, who unironically wields a gigantic sledgehammer. Now everything's just totally normal in here. I mean, there's going to be a painting that falls over, but, you know, that's just kind of normal home wear and tear. But we're going to come right here. We have a little bit of a puzzle, if you want to call it that. There aren't that many in this game, but at least they got one. And, you know, this is a clock tower game, so at least they have a clock puzzle. That's the best that we could ask for with this. If you're wondering, like, oh, you know, maybe a lot of this is explained in the first Clock Tower games before this, because this is Clock Tower 3. No. Clock Tower SNES, Clock Tower PS1, Clock Tower Ghost Head have nothing to do with this. Literally 0 connections. Like, for example, there weren't magical portals that we could throw water onto, which would activate and take us to the 1960s. So again, Alyssa is just casually breaking the space and time continuum to teleport to a spooky mansion. You know, just the very normal stuff in the Clock Tower universe. But this section, we don't really have to worry about a whole lot. This area's killer is not actually activated just yet. He doesn't come in until later on. So really the only thing that we have to worry about is ghosts. And ghosts typically in this area are pretty chill. Like this person, you know, they're not going to grab me, but they're going to try to. Just give me a little bit of a spook. This guy's random. Still hasn't grabbed me in any of my runs, which I'm pretty proud of. Hasn't happened a single time. I know eventually it will, and I'll be really sad. But yeah, so that's going to be the first part. This is what I call cutscene hallway. This is, again, you know, another bit of a lore dump. We learned that there are some inhabitants of this house who are blind, and we don't really know why just yet, but they're bleeding from their eyes, so I have to assume that it's not a very good thing. We're just going to match through until we hear the music, then we're going to stop, run down this way, and this should be the last cutscene in this area for now. Alright, perfect. Also didn't get the correct music there, which is interesting. I listened to an audio cue so I don't accidentally pause, because pausing in this game takes so long that if you do it, you might as well reset your run, because it's like 10 seconds. Whoops, that ate my input. Let's try that again. North. There we go. That's what we wanted. So usually I like trying to listen for the audio cue, but I didn't play it. For example, when the ladder stops, there we go. I don't unpause. I've definitely done that a lot of times where I accidentally pause. And this is one of those older PS2 games where it takes a long time. And because we time in RTA, it really eats into it. The reason we time in RTA, this game actually has a really good ITT timer because it cuts out loads, and I'm pretty sure it cuts out cutscenes while also keeping things like the menu in, and it's really accurate. The one problem with it is that when you save at the end of the game, it for some reason resets your timer on your loads. So because of that, we can't actually see the final time because it just goes back to 000 after the final boss, which is a really big shame because if it didn't have that, this game would be a lot better to speedrun. But, you know, sadly in 2003, they weren't thinking about that. But here we're going to get a cutscene where Alyssa refills her water, so that's going to refill our water in-game, and she also sees her mother, at least sees like a hallucination or apparition of her. We don't really know exactly if it's real or fake. This is going to be another example of her extendo arms. We just picked up that glowing item all the way over there from here. That's not even the most egregious one. Trust me, there's going to be some other ones later on that are really good. But yeah, we're going to be returning back to our house. We just have to grab an item from here and return back to the kitchen area of that house that we were in the 1960s. Very confusing, but that's what we're going to be doing in this section. So if we'd like to have any donations or plugs, feel free to do so.
So no new donations yet, but I will plug our charity, the Worldwide Veterinary Service, and they provide free expert care to animals in need all over the world. They do this by sending veterinarians where they're needed most, training them to increase the standard of care globally, and by shipping urgent aid supplies worldwide every week of the year. So please donate to this great charity if you want to save some animals worldwide.
Awesome. So I can explain a little bit more about the story. Our grandfather, Dick Burrows, is a man who went missing a couple years back. However, his study has been basically untouched. We find a couple of notes about him, and he talks about the entities and all that stuff and finding about the rooters. Originally, he was very much like, oh, come on, that can't be real. And then he starts to get into it because his wife and child and grandchild ended up being rooters themselves. So that includes Alyssa, hence why she can use the magical bow. And so he searches out to look for a castle called the Burrows Castle. So that's about like the main part of the story with him that we know so far. We just know that he went out searching for something and he's been missing for 2 years. And he also is interested in the rooters. We also know that a entity can gain immortality by eating the heart of a rooter on her 15th birthday. I don't know why it's so convoluted, but that's gonna be it. And as my friend Dices would explain, if Alyssa just stayed in boarding school and never came home, this plan would have completely failed. And it also would completely fail if she dies beforehand, because he needs her alive to do the ritual. So sending his subordinates after us to murder us probably wasn't the smartest plan. It's honestly a miracle that Alyssa, like, gets out of this okay. I don't know why this story went this way, but it definitely makes for a very entertaining game. But there we go, we grabbed the film. That was the item that we needed. So I mentioned earlier that ghosts need a personal item that they know to be returned to them in order to move on. Even though this person died and never had anything to do with film in the 2000s, this is his personal item. It's also going to allow us to do something really dumb, which I'm still mad about personally. We'll see here in a second to explain it. But this is another one of the mandatory bosses. There are a couple of optional bosses, like the one that just popped out of the sewer right there, but they just give us items, and we don't really need them for the speedrun, because they take a long time to do, since you have to pick up the item, you have to go into the menu, you have to select the film. It's a big hassle. So we're going to do that. That's going to leave behind a couple of photos. The first one is going to show something that looks very gruesome. That's just Corroder. You can guess what his ability is from his name. It's also going to reveal a hidden switch. So there is a hidden switch behind a crooked painting where Alyssa makes the comment that, hey, she should probably fix this, and then she doesn't. And I'm really mad that we couldn't just come over here, move the painting, and oh look, the secret switch. We had to go all the way back. We had to travel through time just to find out that there's a switch behind a painting that she comments that she should fix. Like, this is one of those things about this game that is very wacky. But here we go. We are going to meet a character named Corroder, who is everybody's favorite enemy casualty and my least favorite for the speedrun. So we're going to start right here. We have to immediately mash our water bottle to throw it at him. That's going to burn him because he doesn't like water. It sets him on fire. We're going to pick up that invisibility band. That's going to let us get invisible later on, which is very important. And we're going to grab another key with Alyssa's extendo arms. So Corroder is the most dangerous for the speedrun purely for the fact that his boss fight is very random. And he has a couple of random patterns here. I'm going to be taking some safety measures to make sure that, you know, nothing bad happens. But for example, he also has teleportation powers. So what do I mean like this? Well, he's going to pop over right there. But thankfully, Alyssa can attack enemies through walls. And the water just phases through them like nothing to hit him. So we're going to squeeze by okay right over here. We're going to return back into this room. We're going to open up this toolbox to get a wrench. Now he is going to be following us into the room. However, we have a way around that. And we have just completely passed him. And it also loses him as well. So that's going to be the first part. He is going to spawn up in this upcoming area. I'm going to go for a bit of a safety strat. And I'm going to refill my holy waters just in case anything bad happens. You know, we don't really want to die in the speedrun because I haven't died here before. And I really don't want to find out where the autosave is. So he's going to spawn the moment we get up here. I'm going to throw my water. It's going to miss him. That's okay. He's also going to jump on us. No butt stomps, please. I'm going to throw that on him. You can't take a perfect line where he completely misses you. However, it's very rare and very risky. It's also kind of what I need in my run to actually get a PB. So I'm not happy about that, but, you know, it is what it is. But here we go. We got past him relatively okay. And then we just need to squeeze by him one more time before the next boss fight. His boss fight is my least favorite because it just is completely random. One thing about this that you guys should know is that when I'm using the bow, I actually don't have control of where it's aiming exactly. It auto aims to the target where, like, I initially start pointing it at him. Also good ghost RNG. Sometimes the ghost will be right in front of us. But I'll be pointing at it, and it'll point where the enemy is. It auto aims to them. However, when you're locked in, you're locked in. You cannot look left or right. So the most devastating thing an enemy can do in this game is strafe. Just moving left or right is the worst thing for speedrunners in this game, because you basically have to waste an arrow or hope that they move back into your position, because you have no other like course of action other than to release your arrow, and that's usually very slow, and it means you need to reposition because you're probably going to get hit in that time. You pretty much need a 3 charge to interrupt enemy attacks, so if you don't have 3 charges on your arrow, then you're kind of in trouble. But here we go, we're going to pick up a shawl. That is going to be an item that we use to save a ghost later on, like we did with the pocket watch in May in the first part with Sledgehammer. Very confusing, I do know, and I apologize. There's not really an easy way for me to explain the story in the short amount of time that we have, while also explaining the run. But he's going to be chasing us, you know, we don't really need to worry about it. He won't catch up to us. Normal mode is very forgiving in that. However, this game is pretty difficult your first time, so keep that in mind. And here we go, the worst boss fight in the entire run. So we're going to see how this is. It could go amazingly well, it could go poorly. But we're going to get our bow and arrow again. I'll skip the cutscene this time, but it's the same one, you know. Does the T-pose to assert dominance. Gets the super cool water bottle to turn into a bow and arrow. All of that fun stuff. Right, Corroder, what's your sentence going to be? 605 years. We're going to correlate that down to about 2 minutes here. So, 1, 2, 3. He's going to attack. We're going to hit him. That's going to interrupt the attack. He's going to move sideways. 2, 3. If we hit him, it actually interrupts the attack even though he's already done it. I need 6 charges here. I'm going to get that one right there. I'm going to interrupt the attack so he doesn't hit me right there. He's going to give us prepare to die. That's very good. Alright. We should be out of range of that. Just barely. He's going to move again to the side. And he's not going to get pulled back. This is very bad RNG. Like I said, him moving left and right. Oh man, he is giving me the worst possible RNG that he can. 4, 5, 6.
There she is.
We have to hit him right there, otherwise he'll hit us with that. He's gonna get us prepared to die. That's okay. Yeah, we just need to get him to get down so we can do the spirit bomb attack. Did that get him? I'm not too sure. We need to interrupt him when he does the there she is attack, because otherwise he'll send a projectile our way, which is very bad. That's a good one. That's too short to hit us. He's gonna do that. That's okay. All right, we got the first spirit bomb off. We only wanted to do 1. Sometimes you could do 2, but it's slower because of how long this cutscene is. I can't skip this, so like it just is like a super long cutscene that we can't avoid. But yeah, that's gonna be the first one right here. I don't think it's gonna kill him. It's not an instant death. In fact, we need to do it a couple of times to one certain boss. Yeah, so we're gonna hit him right here. Please don't move. Thank you very much. You're amazing. Even though you give me a bad start, and that should be the last one. All right, not the best fight. As you can see, he liked to move left and right quite often, which is very bad for us as speedrunners because then we can't hit him. And yeah, so we got through that though pretty okay, and I'm happy with how that went. I'm happy enough that I just didn't die at least. So now we are going to be heading to the next part of the game, and we're going to be introduced to a new enemy. So we've had Sledgehammer, who used a sledgehammer. We had Corroder, who used corrosion acid. And now we got Chomper. I'll let you guys guess as to what he is going to be using as his weapon. Here we go. We're going to come back to this room, and Alyssa is going to return a shawl to an old lady who's very sad, but the shawl makes her happy, and that's, you know, the very wholesome thing. Alyssa is essentially acting like, you know, in a like a 90s sitcom where she's like a medium who can communicate with spirits, and she's just fixing all of their problems. That kind of takes a turn here. So that man that we saw right there completely destroys Alyssa's house, turns it into a clock tower with magic. She takes a magical ride on a spinning clock wheel, and then she ends up in the sewers of her house. Can't really explain it. But we're also going to be getting introduced to a new enemy in this area, and that's going to be Chomper. Fun fact, you guys won't really know this because we skipped them, but his voice actor for cutscenes is completely different than his voice actor for gameplay. Like, they are legitimately 2 completely different people doing 2 completely different voices. Again, I don't know why, but that's a thing. So, like, his voice in cutscenes is very high-pitched. Let me see if I can play a couple of lines of it just to show you guys so you have a way to know the difference. So listen to that laugh. Also, the cutscenes are great. All these are like this, by the way, every single one.
You might have defeated the others, but you're no.
So get that voice in your mind. All right, we're gonna squeeze right past him. And now listen to him in gameplay.
Oh, nice trick.
2 completely different people. Like, not even like one, you know, like 2 people, but one of them is trying to imitate the other. No, they are literally going for 2 different directions entirely. So I don't know why. I don't think it's a thing on the Japanese version of the game, which has different voice acting. It's just, it's something, let me tell you. But here we are in the sewers. This is like my least favorite part. It's not difficult. I just don't like this area. It doesn't flow very well with me. But I'm going to grab a safety item right here. This is going to be another invisibility band for later on. Usually, again, I wouldn't grab these. Also going to show up right behind me. So I'm going to manipulate him to attack us in a specific spot. That should work. So he's not blocking us because we need to do an immediate U-turn. And again, our waters here are very limited. We don't want to use one too early. So he's going to attack us, or he's going to do that. That also works. He might throw his axe at us. Let's see if he does. No, we're good. We're going to come over here. All right, this next one kind of sucks because we need to, again, move in a very specific way to pick up an item. And then we need to immediately throw our holy water. It's very awkward. We'll see if we get it. This has killed more runs than I care to admit, sadly. Right, we're gonna pick up the crowbar, and then now we're gonna mash our holy water button. Let's see if we get it. All right, we did. Sometimes he moves a lot closer to you, and then he'll hit you, and it's just a mess to recover from. But we're gonna be returning back. So we need to do a couple of things here. We need to get an ID card, and then we need to get power back to the key card reader. So there's a couple of roundabout ways to go around that. I'm listening for audio right now because he's going to be coming at me off camera, and I need to know which way he's coming from to at least have a guesstimate of where he's going to be attacking us. Also going to do this puzzle right here. Try and not mess up the menuing. It's never fun to mess it up because your brain's kind of on autopilot and it doesn't exactly make clear where everything is. But there we go, electricity is on. I might let him just kind of come at me. Yeah, I'm gonna let him. Alright. I wanted to not throw that too early. I was kind of afraid that I missed it. We do kind of get one spare one if we get good RNG. And we do have backup items, but I want to try and do this the proper way as much as possible. There we go. That's gonna let us come down here. This is a ladder, go down. We will go down. And we're gonna find a ghost. Now this ghost has been roaming around for centuries at this point, trying to find his glasses. He needs his glasses, guys. And look, we found his glasses. They were 5 feet away from his corpse. I kind of feel bad because that man has been searching for his glasses for a long time, and they were literally within arm's reach, but he couldn't get them. So F's in the chat for that dude. I don't know his name. None of these guys have names, but I certainly feel bad. It also might be a chick. For some reason, they use the ghosts, spirits models and the corpse models and the voices kind of just interchangeably. They don't really make it very clear. Also, we got a jump scare right there. Alyssa's not a very good baseball player, so she's not going to try and catch it. And again, we're doing more kind of panic manipulation. It's kind of why we didn't want to take any earlier, because it makes this area significantly harder. And again, when we're doing an actual like speed run, like a world record attempt, or like you're on a PB attempt, usually you're not going to want to use an item here. There's another area with Chopper that we're going to be doing, which is significantly worse and requires items. It is literally impossible with the current strat that we have to do it with 0 items. We can do it with 1 item, but it's rare RNG. Also, I got bad RNG. Speaking of, it's going to be right in front of me. So sometimes he'll spawn behind me, and then I only need to hit him 1 more time. Here, though, sadly, we got bad RNG, so I'm going to need to hit him both on the way to the circuit breaker and then on our way back. Those camera angles are very awkward, especially if you're doing clear mode, which is the harder difficulty, because you just can't really tell where he's coming from. So you have to listen to the sound, and the sound of this game is not very good. I kind of know it because I've played this game so much, but there's times where like I'll just run right into him and slap my Alyssa against him. It's like, oh, okay, well, there's another dead run, reset. Also, you see that arrow there? We're gonna pick it up because we need it for later on. However, we're gonna refill our water. We're not gonna grab it there. Instead, we're gonna grab it on the steps. So Alyssa's extendo arms are coming into play, and she's just gonna reach right under the stairs and grab it. Here we go. We are returning back to her childhood home. However, this is really into her childhood because this is back when she was, you know, a baby. So that baby you're hearing is Alyssa as a child. Again, I don't know how the time traveling works. But we're at the first chopper boss fight. This boss fight is very finicky because you can get God RNG, but we need to bind him. Fortunately, we don't need to bind him as much as the other bosses so far, because this boss fight kind of is special. So he's gonna give us all this prompt, all this cool music, all this good stuff. Alright, so let's see how nice he plays. Pause. Not gonna pause. Alright, he almost tried to troll us, but we're okay. Once we get 3 bindings on him, he likes to stand still, and we usually don't have him sidestepping. He likes to sidestep, which is very bad in this area because it's a small arena. And when you're on world record pace, that's like basically a dead run. Like, see right there, he's gonna sidestep, but this should pull him back enough. He's gonna come right around this way. And there we go, that is the boss fight. So, we didn't actually defeat Chopper. Which is why we didn't see the cutscene with the Spirit Bomb or have to kill him. So we still need to fight him in this next coming area. We also learned in the cutscene before that Dick Burrows, our missing grandfather, actually killed Alyssa's father when she was a baby. So we kind of learned at this point that he's not that nice of a guy, but Alyssa's still like, oh, you know, he's still my granddad. He's cool, right? He's not cool, Chad. I'm sorry. I'm gonna grab this item for safety. Again, normally we only use 2 items, but I would rather take the 10-second time loss than, you know, have the 2-minute time loss of dying. So we have kind of a boring area coming up here. I do apologize for the music in this area. I promise your speakers aren't broken. There's nothing wrong with the audio on the tech side. This is just the song for this area. It's a constant droning with very few like interjections for it. This game actually has a really good soundtrack for everything except this area. But right now we're going to be in the mausoleum. Essentially we're going to be putting stones in the right positions. Nothing too special. We do have to worry about these ghosts, but normally they don't bug us very much. We got good RNG right there. Even if we do get grabbed, it's not that big of a deal. It's just kind of annoying. But for the most part, this is kind of a so-so spot. So it would be a great time for any donations or plugs that the host would like to do.
Perfect. We actually do have one donation. It's from someone, I don't know who this is. Their name is Sneevil. They donated £5 with just one word in the comments, Inception. Well, thank you, Sneevil, for that donation. Very generous, going towards the Worldwide Veterinary Service, and you can donate too if you want to help save some animals.
Alright, so we're gonna grab this repellent arrow. It's actually very important that we grab them in the specific order. I can't... Oh, we got bad luck there. Normally the guy will keep on continuing and we don't have to worry about him. But that's okay. We don't need to worry about our waters too much here. I actually need to collect them in a very specific order. The reason for that is you can't actually select when you use them. It goes by whichever one is your most, I believe it's the most recent. So because it's the one that's the most recent, we have to pick them up in a specific order. It's not super important, but we essentially have 2 kinds of arrows. We haven't ran into the other one yet. But there's repellent arrows, which are green, and binding arrows, which are red. Repellent arrows do a bit of extra damage, instantly are charged, and will knock the enemy back. Binding arrows act like a fully charged shot that you can do immediately. So we need that. Pretty much all of our bosses don't really use or require arrows. Like, we only use 1 for this upcoming boss, and we haven't used any so far. However, the final boss requires a lot of them. If you've been like looking at the run and being like, oh, these boss fights are kind of boring, you know, they just hold down a button and aim and all that stuff, wait until we get to the final boss, because that one is definitely a doozy. Because it requires way more tech and knowledge and skill than any other one by a significant margin. I think I went the wrong way. I did go the wrong way, but that's okay because we'll just fill up my holy water. So for some reason, Alyssa can only carry 1 Raider Stone at a time. I'm not really sure why she can't carry multiple. I don't think they're that heavy. But she can only carry one at a time. Also, it's very weird because, well, like, these are her ancestors. These are other rooters. And I feel like they shouldn't be attacking Alyssa. They kind of know who she is. Like, the cutscenes show that they know that Alyssa's a rooter and that she's trying to stop Chopper. And yet they're kind of just attacking us for no reason. I don't really understand it too much. And you'll find that whenever I'm like discussing this game outside of the speedrun, I kind of say that a lot, where I'm just like, I don't know. I just go along with it. But here we go. We're gonna grab these stones. If you're doing this puzzle casually, it's a very simple solution. The red stone goes to the red ghost, the blue stone goes to the blue ghost, and the yellow stone goes to the yellow ghost. So we're gonna splash right here. I will need to fill up my waters after this another time, which I don't like, but it's gonna be okay. This upcoming area is the graveyard. This is the scariest section for any speedrunner of this game. And there's a very good reason for it. So the main reason is that we have to use 2 waters every time to power up these portals that Alyssa has been using to teleport. So we need to use 4 right off of the bat to power it up on one side and then power it up on the other. Then we need to use another holy water to unlock a special compass. Very similar to this one, the Compass of Shadow. So that is 5 charges right there. We do not have a way to refill our water. And we are getting attacked by Chopper. Meaning that the only way that we can avoid him is by using items. And along with that, this area has a lot of backtracking. And there's no doors, meaning that we can't do anything to cheese it or to stop him from swinging at us. And again, swinging, even if it misses Alyssa, still technically does damage because it fills up her panic meter. So I'm going to be very careful in this area. I'll probably end up using a little bit more items than I normally would. But again, that's just for safety. I do have a semi-consistent way to get through this spot without dying. But you know, this is a marathon setting. I've already had stuff that I've never seen before happen, and I really just don't feel like risking it. So pretty much every single item we've gotten up to this point, except for the sigil stone, has been purely for this area. Also, we learned of a bad thing, and that is Chopper, the enemy who we are currently fighting, has unfortunately killed Alyssa's mother, which is not very cool. So we're going to be doing something right here. We're going to be activating the invisibility band. If we activate it while he's attacking, what will end up happening is A, these moths that will try to stun us will not attempt to stun us, and B, it interrupts his attack, so he won't finish it out and give Alyssa panic early on. So he will kind of follow us, but he doesn't exactly follow us. We need to press these lion statue eye things in the proper order. If we don't, then, you know, the puzzle doesn't work. So let me see where he is. He's on the stairs. That's okay. He's gonna swing at us. Throw an item, please. That's okay. Ooh, this might be bad. I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do here. All right, we're okay. He is not giving us good luck. So I'm going to use a holy water. Yeah, I'm gonna use it. So lavender water will lower it, and if he swings at us, then it won't fill it up. Press another statue. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get hit here. It's okay if I do. Oh no, this is really bad. Gonna use another holy water here. Alright, that's okay. That's actually good. We want him to throw it at us because it doesn't fill our panic, and usually he misses. Alright. So it also cancels out the attack. Hopefully he'll give us a taunt here. Yes, perfect. That's exactly what he wants. He's going to have the horrible aim for trying to throw it at us. And while that was a little rough, as long as I don't get stuck on the gravestone here, which I've had happen before, that's kill the run. We're going to get out of there. All right. Scariest part of the run done. Whew. The only thing we need to worry about now is the final boss fight, which is the worst spot to have a really hard spot, because then you get a run up to like 1 hour and 16 minutes out of the 1 hour and 18 minutes, and then your run dies, and you're like, well, all right, that's cool. Maybe next time. Oh, we're gonna insert these compasses of light. We're also going to fill up our water here. Every other boss fight, we've gone and upgrade to our water to increase the capacity. This is the first time that we do not get that. So it's going to stay at 5 for the rest of the game so it doesn't refill, and we need it for later on, so we're going to grab it there. There is one that is a faster water grab, however it's riskier because you have to avoid different enemies. But here we go, we're going to get more teleportation. Alyssa's going to head into a magical portal to find an old Rooter arrow that allows her to return back to the Rooters beforehand and free their spirits. So this is a good time for any donations or plugs or anything that you'd like to mention, Sneeble.
I'll just take this time again to mention our charity. So the Worldwide Veterinary Services is what we're all donating towards today, and they provide free expert care to animals in need all over the world. They do this by sending veterinarians where they're needed the most, training them to increase the standard of care globally, and by shipping urgent aid supplies worldwide every week of the year.
Awesome. So we're going to grab the arrow right here. We're also going to be picking up our very first binding arrow. The binding arrow, like I mentioned, is an arrow that acts like a 6 charged or a regular shot, and will bind them to get one of those orbs of light, which allows us to do a spirit bomb later on. Again, pretty much all of the arrows are exclusively for the final fight in the game. Also, we get the bridge collapse thing. I've never lost a run here. I hope I don't ever, because that would be very sucky. We get a couple of shaky camera moments. It's actually kind of difficult your first time, but once you do it a couple dozen, then you get used to it. But here we go, on to the second chopper fight. And we're also going to be using our first arrow. So we're going to do an enemy or an AI manipulation during this fight to get a specific pattern. We can't actually do damage to him ourselves, he'll block the arrow. So what we need him to do is we need him to throw something at us. We hit it with the arrow, knocks him back, and then we can do damage. So hopefully that goes well. If not, I have not been saving, so I would need to die to get the continue, which would be bad, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Alright, that's really bad. Yeah, so that's not good, but we should be okay. We need to run around a little bit more. I can't use any other arrows whatsoever. So I just need to wait for him to throw at me. Come on. This should be okay. So yeah, unfortunately he gave me a really bad pattern like he's doing right here. Gonna wait for him to move forward a little. Oh, come on, dude. Work with me here, bud. Ah, that's bad. There we go, that's good. Alright. So normally we would have hit him with the repellent arrow, and what it would have done is it would have made it so he basically just walk in a straight line and do the throwing attack immediately. However, he's being kind of a nuisance right now. Ooh, and that's not really the best position for him to be in. I might bind him early, which wouldn't be a good thing. Okay, we didn't. Cool. So this should be okay. Bit of a scuffed fight, but you know what? It happens. Again, marathon setting. Okay, should be like one more. There we go. And that should definitely kill him. We hit him more than enough times. So even though that was a little scuffed, I will admit that. Normally that fight goes a lot smoother, but we recovered. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And we get the super cool spirit bomb. I think he should be dead. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to wait. Okay, we're good. So now we are on to the final subordinates, and that is, you know, we talked about the enemies. They've had very creative names regarding what they use to murder people with. Sledgehammer, Corroder, Chopper. This is Scissor Man and Scissor Woman. Chat, I am willing to believe that every single one of you in here can guess exactly what kind of weapons Scissor Man and Scissor Woman like to use. Also, that's Dennis. He's Discount Ron Weasley, and this is the only time we're going to be seeing him in the entire game. We've seen him in a lot of the cutscenes. This is the only time he shows up in gameplay. I don't know why. It's legitimately 20 seconds long. Even for the casual player, it would be this short. Only time we see him in game. But that's going to be Dennis. Hope you guys liked him. We're not going to see him anymore. But now we're going to arrive in the hospital. So we need 3 ID cards to get out of here. So first one is going to be right here. This one's the easiest to get. The only time you'll have issues is that ghost will sometimes maybe bug you. Normally doesn't. We're also going to grab a lavender water for safety as well. And now we are going to head on. So this is actually kind of a cool area. We're essentially going to be running into a mirror world. We're going to be having the normal world here in the mirror world. And both of the scissor twins are on each side. They don't really function differently. It's not like I need to do any special stuff for Scissor Man but not Scissor Woman or vice versa. But they're both kind of annoying with their patterns. So we're going to be very careful here. The good thing about this area is you do get a couple of extra spare waters. You just have to refill twice instead of once if you use an extra one. But overall, we're not going to be really losing any time if I have to use an extra one. But this is kind of a scary area, and it's really difficult for new runners. Like if you're learning this game, this is kind of going to be one of the harder ones because they're super aggressive, they're super fast, and these are very small like positions for them to be in and to avoid their attacks. So hopefully nothing goes wrong. Pretty much how that Chopper 2 fight went, that's the worst that this run could have gotten. So far we're already doing like totally okay. But here we go, we're gonna go to the alternate world, and then we need to do a couple of things here. So we're gonna grab one of the keys here that we need out of the 3, and we're also going to take the time to unlock one of the cabinets here, which also unlocks it in the other world to get the other key. So we're gonna splash that. We don't even need the item in there. We're good to go. We're just gonna head out. Scissor Woman, let's hope she doesn't give me a bad pattern. She turns around, that's good. She's gonna try and swing at me. I'm gonna hit her with that, just in case. I don't mind doing the extra water throw. Or doing the extra water refill. And actually doesn't really bug us too much. I kind of want her to follow a little bit more closely. Usually she'll be in like this bathroom area. And we can like hit her. Oh, there we go. Hey there. So sometimes they turbo and will just go immediately right to you without like even giving you a chance to respond. Thankfully that actually like worked out. That could have gone a lot worse. But you know, we're okay. We're doing very good so far. Now we're going to return to the other side of the world. And hopefully we get good RNG. Alright, we got good RNG. Technically, this is good RNG. He can come out of either that room we just saw, or he can come out of the room that we're in right now. It's better if he comes through the room that we're in right now, because he won't attack us as quickly. And along with that, it also makes it so Alyssa doesn't actually have to open the door. However, sometimes he'll just, as you're running past him, he'll swing around, do a cool 360, and stab you, which is bad. But he didn't do that, which is good. Alright, let's see how nice he's going to play here. This is like my least favorite water throw in the game. It's blind, he's super fast, and he likes to dodge it. Alright, we got showtime. That's good. Oh, that's not great. We should be okay. Ooh, he likes to zoom, I swear. But I think we should be okay, because once we get in this room, we should be good to go. And would you look at that? We didn't even need the extra water throw, or the extra water refill. Gonna come right here, come right here, refill there, and we're good to go. And that was the hospital, and now we're coming up to the final section of the game, the castle. Castle is a very big area, and along with that, we also are going to be fighting 3 bosses in this section almost back to back. Also, that's weird that the audio playthrough is. Never had that happen before. Again, there's a lot of weird things going on with this run. You know, I think it realizes that it's in a marathon setting, and now it's doing some weird stuff. But that's okay, again. That was also our grandfather, so we know that he has found this castle. Alright, so here we go. Scissorman's gonna follow us. We need to do some very specific stuff here. Gonna throw the water at him. That's gonna make it hurt him. Then what we're gonna do is we're going to throw the water there, and then we're gonna throw the water there, and we should be good to go. There is a trick where you can hit both the door and Scissorman at the same time, and it makes this upcoming area a little bit faster. However, I do a kind of an interesting strat that not many people do. So because of that, like we're totally okay in this next area. So we need to grab a note. There is an area we can go to that we need to remove a loose steel bar. However, if you do not know that you can remove the steel bar, then the game will not let you. So we're gonna hit him right here. We're gonna go over here to this evade point. We haven't used these a whole lot, but they're very common in the casual game. It essentially just gets rid of the chaser entirely. I'm gonna grab the employee's memo. Never heard the ghost laugh and try to grab me here. Again, a first one. I don't know what's going on today. This game is just not cooperating. But, you know, it happens, and no matter what, I can usually get through a run. I've not had a run where I couldn't finish it. But we're going to continue on right here. We get this really nice view of the base of the clock tower, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. Finally, after probably about a little bit over an hour, I'm guessing an hour and 3. I don't have a timer with me right now, but around that. Finally, we get to the clock tower in a game called Clock Tower 3. But we're going to continue on right here. So we get a little bit of a shuffling part here. Nothing special. The ghost cannot attack us in this position, which is very good. So in the meantime, this would probably be a good and final chance for any donations.
So no new donations still. However, I would like to take this time to just thank everyone who's been a part of this weekend, all of the runners, all the hosts, all of our tech people, everyone who's put this together, and of course all of the viewers who are here. So thank you all for being here, and this has been an amazing marathon thus far, and thanks.
Yeah, shout out to the tech crews and all of the volunteers who've been putting on this awesome event for essentially nothing and dedicating a lot of time to it. So you guys have been awesome, and thank you for allowing me and all these other runners to show off these great and, you know, like this one, not so great, but has heart kind of games. Alright, so we ran into Scissorman earlier in the castle. This is going to be Scissorwoman's side of it. Going to be removing this loose bar. This is kind of an easy area to manipulate, and it's also the last area where we're really going to have chasers after us. We're going to look at that right there. We're going to use the ash. That's going to place Alyssa into a good spot to where she's not going to be getting attacked. And then we're just going to mash this button right here. It's going to stun her, so we don't have to worry about that. And we're going to grab the A crest. We're going to need 3 of these. We got the first one right here. We're just going to squeeze by, and we're almost done with the actual subordinates. And then the rest of this is relatively smooth sailing, minus the bosses. The bosses are probably the hardest ones in the games. Even casually, the few bosses that we faced, they're might be a little difficult, but they're pretty easy. And then it goes from, like, you know, maybe like a 4 or a 5 to like a 9 or a 10 with these last 3. It's insane, the difficulty jump that this game has. So bear that in mind if you're playing through this casually. Right, we're gonna go through here. Now remember, Scissorwoman was right behind us.
Slice and dice.
And now she's right there. I don't know. I really don't, but that's okay. That's going to allow us to squeeze through here, and we can find the last crest. And then we're almost done with the actual chasing sections. We've been getting, you know, chased by killers and bad guys all day, but we're almost ready to leave them all behind and learn the truth about Alyssa and her family. Well, I mean, you guys aren't going to know the truth because I'm skipping all the cutscenes, and it would take a in-depth lore video to explain exactly what's going on here. But just know spooky things and people trying to become immortal in very creepy ways. That's about like a good, accurate portrayal. Also, just going to run by them. And that's pretty much it for Scissorwoman. She still, you know, chases us here, but we're not going to run into her. Because once we put this final crest in, gonna get out of there. And then now that we've opened this door, it's pretty much goodbye to Scissorwoman. She could follow us in here. Yeah, she does. And wait for it. Alright, that's all the chasers. We just have the boss fights left, which sounds like not a lot. It's a lot. This area is very difficult. And typically when I'm going through here on world record pace, my hands are shaking so badly that I usually mess up because of it. So thankfully, because this is a marathon run and this run has been terrible, I don't have to worry about that. I could just play. So again, we kind of get more of a cutscene hallway here, where this is just going to be a bunch of mashing through all these cutscene triggers and, you know, all this other lore stuff that, again, us speedrunners don't care about. I mean, stories don't matter in speedruns. But we do learn that our lovable goofball of a friend, I almost call her Ron Weasley, Daniel, is in danger. Or not Daniel, Dennis. Daniel is a much cooler name than Dennis. I don't know why I made that mistake. I have amnesia on the mind. But he's in danger. He is currently captured by the Scissor Twins, who are saying that if we do not give them our heart, they will murder him. So it's up to Alyssa to save him. Also, these guys are swinging. These guys have killed one run before, and because you can do a cool little trick to get past them, and I will never do that trick again. I will gladly eat the 7-second time loss every time to never do that trick again, because it sucks when your run dies at this part. Because if those axes that are swinging hit you, you're done. You don't even like get a like ow, like I'm injured. You literally just game over immediately. So I always wait for the cycle and then move on. We can get the first cycle the other time, but in that room, the timing for it is so unbelievably tight that it's not worth going for ever. Unless like we, you know, create ILs, which we don't have, there is literally no point for anybody to go for that trick unless they just want to throw away their run, in my opinion. But hey, if you want 7 seconds, there's the easy amount right there. But here we go. We're going to head into the main battle arena with Scissorman and Scissorwoman. We're not going to fight them just yet, though, because remember, we need a special item in order to activate our water bottle and turn it into a bow and arrow. That's why she only uses it in certain parts, and she needs a special item of great power every time. So it's been the rag, the pocket watch. For this area, it's our drawing. And this kind of shows that, hey, you know, Alyssa's grandfather, he might be an evil, really bad dude who's trying to murder his granddaughter to gain immortality, but he does care about her in his own sweet yet creepy way. But before we get to the grandfather, we have to do some lore. And the lore that we're going to do is we're going to be skipping this, but essentially the evil spirit that owned this castle beforehand has merged with her grandfather to become a super entity who's been controlling all these subordinates and is trying to steal Alyssa's heart. Also, this is always the same every time, so I don't have to worry about dying here. Also, that section is why I grabbed the Sigil Stone at the very beginning of the game. I grabbed it in case for whatever reason one of those axes hit me there, because that prevents death. But thankfully it didn't happen, so that item that we picked up like 3 minutes into the run has been like completely pointless and sitting in our inventory for no reason. But that's okay, because, you know, safety. But here we go. This is the worst fight in the game for me. This is Scissor Woman. Scissor Woman has a special feature in that she has a small health bar, but you do not auto-aim. So wherever Alyssa's facing is where she'll attack. So hopefully I'm able to land the 2 shots I need to get through this fight easily. If not, I'm going to be very sad. So hopefully we get good RNG and I have enough skill in order to do so. I'm going to be kind of focused because this is 2 fights back to back, so let's hope it goes well. Looks okay. Alright, phew. She could give us a lot of different patterns there, so I'm glad we got the good one. So that is the Scissor Woman fight, and now we're on to Ralph, the Scissor Man fight. I actually found some new tech for this recently. Normally you need 6 charges to bind this character. However, if you do a counterattack, meaning you hit him, oh, that's bad. That's not great. Alright, there we go. We got the pattern. So normally you need 6 charges. However, you can bind him with 5 if he's attacking you. This is interesting. This should be okay. I don't want to use the Spirit Bomb attack too early, so I want him to be in a position to where it's not going to do that. Because if we do it too early, it makes it so we have to do 2 Spirit Bomb attacks, and he has like 1 HP for the last shot, which isn't good. Because then it just wastes a lot of time. That should be okay. That's going to get him really low. Okay, let's hope we get a good pattern. That's alright. There we go. That is Ralph. We are now officially in the, the clock is at 11:59 p.m. for the Clock Tower 3 run, as we have one more boss to go through. This is probably my least favorite boss in the entire game because he is the hardest by a large margin. He requires the most tech, and I will be honest, I am not going to be talking too much during the fight. Essentially, I'm going to have to bind him manually, like I've been doing with the rest of the killers, and then I'm going to have to do very specific movement and manipulation so I can bind him again with the arrows that we've been collecting throughout the entire game. So overall, I'm going to be very quiet because it's the most tech-heavy boss, and I can't really explain much, so I'm going to do it here. We're essentially going to bind him 6 times, and then we're going to do a Spirit Bomb. Then we are going to hit him one more time manually. Then we're going to run around. We're going to use repellent arrows to get him into different positions and binding arrows to make it so we have a pattern of only needing 3 bindings for every single Spirit Bomb, while also keeping him at a distance so he doesn't do his melee attacks, while also avoiding his own bindings, because he also has the power of a rooter and can bind Alyssa. So he is by far the hardest final boss, like the biggest jump between like the second to last and last boss I've seen in any game. And I'm so sorry for all the people who like use their repellent arrows and binding arrows, their casual playthroughs. I did it. It sucks to do it without this fight because he has 2 completely full health bars. So hopefully this goes well. We've also basically collected almost every single repellent and binding arrow in the game outside of the ones that Ghost give us. So keep that in mind as well. We are going to pretty much use everything the game gives us. The only ones we miss is 3 repellent arrows, which we used on Chopper and Scissorwoman. Let's see how this goes. I do want to mention that if we do mess up a little bit, it's not the end of the world. It just makes this boss fight really suck. Also, we're finally in the clock tower. It only took us an hour and 20-ish minutes. Alright, here we go. Wish me luck, everyone. I want to see some, well, we don't have that. Any kind of, like, RNG emote you have would be appreciated. But here we go, the final confrontation. It turns out the bad guy is Lord Burroughs, our grandfather. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. Alright, new outfit. Let's go, Alyssa. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's really bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, first binding.
There's no escape.
Oh no, that's really bad. All right, all right, all right, all right.
Such a sweet.
Oh, this is really bad. So he's gonna get some super power-ups.
There's no escape.
Alright, that's a second binding. Ooh. That was scary, I'm not gonna lie. That was a bit of a very scary moment. That could have gone a lot worse. So he has a couple attacks. He has the yaha! He has the there's no escape. And then he has the yeah! And all of them are very scary. Gonna do another attack here. And let him do another attack, please.
No escape.
Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's good. Please don't try and get rid of it. That's good. There. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Okay, that's the third one. Then this last arrow should, in theory, kill him.
There's no escape. There's no escape.
Okay. Whoops. All right. That is going to be the fight. A little rough, a little messy, but we're not done yet. Time is going to be coming up right here in just a moment. We need to get past his one more attack. Let's make sure he doesn't give me bad RNG by melee. All right, we're good. And time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Clock Tower 3. I will let the ending play out because, again, it's hilarious. But let me just say thank you so much to all the tech and everybody who's been hosting this. Sneevil, you've been awesome. Dan, Nico, Hart, you guys have been working super, super hard to put this on for us, so thank you for that. And can I ask what my final time was?
So I see here 1 hour, 23 minutes, 41 seconds.
Definitely not as good as I wanted, but you know, definitely good for a no reset marathon run that, in my opinion, went as badly as it did. But thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy this cutscene of Alyssa stopping her grandfather from completing the ritual, and you know, just super campy stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned. I do believe Sneevil, you're actually on next yourself, correct?
Oh dear, yes I am. I didn't even, I forgot. No idea. Oh dear. But yeah, Demonic, that was an excellent run. I had so much fun watching the entire thing. You're an excellent commentator. Do you want to shout out your channel? Because I'm sure some of these people in the chat would love to watch you.
Of course, if you want to see more games like this, I generally do a lot of PS2 horror games, including soon-to-be Kuon, one of the rarest PS2 games. So if you want to follow me, make sure to check me out at twitch.tv/DemonicRobots. Thank you for having me, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
All right, Demonic, we're going to switch it over now to another scene. We're going to put some nice music on, stand up, grab some water, and we will be back with me running Resident Evil 3 Nemesis Any%. So stay tuned.